Hello and welcome back to Sorare Assist. Today I'm going to be continuing my limited card building series, and this is episode 10. Plenty of signings to get through this week and also some rewards, and we've also managed to sell a player in my collection as well, so stick around for that. Before we get into all that, welcome to my channel. On this channel you will find Sorare content including Sorare tips, scouting, tutorials and all the Sorare content you can think of. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you do like this video, please like the video and don't forget to ping that notification bell to be the first to be alerted about any new videos. If you haven't signed up to Sorare yet, then what are you waiting for? Get signed up using the link below to get a free limited card. We also have a free website with free Sorare resources, and that is sorareassist.com. Okay, now that's out of the way, let's get straight on to the action in this week's episode then. So let's start with my results from the last two game weeks then, since last week's episode. So we'll start with game week 215. So looking at the teams then, Champion Asia only had two teams in the limited division. So I had Dimao as captain, he got me 68, which was fantastic. But Kaneka had a quiet game, only got 31. Fukumori only got 47. Guy did good, he had a decent score for a goalkeeper, 61, and Atate had a quiet game as well with 31. So no prize there unfortunately. The All-Star Limited team, Jordi Alba did well for me, 58 points. Jin Ho did fantastic, he was a fairly new signing, 77 points there for him. Fukumori got 47. Brad Gazan got a good score for a goalkeeper of 61. And my captain, Johnny Russell, pulled it out of the bag for me with 77 points. So this was a very good score, 356 points I got. But it still only got me 159th place finish. But that did result in a tier 2 reward. And that reward was Jamiro Monteiro of Philadelphia. And those of you who have been watching my channel will know that I've also already got the Philadelphia goalkeeper and also two Philadelphia defenders. So this is a midfielder that I've got now for Philadelphia if I wanted to do a Philadelphia stack one week. But it's also a good option anyway, this guy, very good scorer on the SO5. I'll show you now on his graph here. These are his SO5 scores. As you can see, some very good scores. One that I'm going to be keeping hold of for sure, but is more than likely going to be on my sub bench most weeks, unless Philadelphia have got a very favourable fixture. But a very good reward nevertheless. So moving on now to game week 216. So I had a few teams here, and I was hoping for better things here really, because I had all my new signings, all good players, and I was expecting some big things from them. But a few things went wrong really, mainly did not players. So this team here, the All-Star Limited, Kramaric got 45, disappointing there. Colhert got 38, quite a week for him. Maxwell Arnold only got 45, he was the captain, so that was disappointing. Meccano didn't even play, and Guzan got 46. So very lowly, 6,894th place finish, which is pretty atrocious. Challenger Europe Limited then, Mercier, who was a fairly new signing, got 73. Captain Beguus didn't play, which was very disappointing. Lindell got 47, Senesi got 50, and Romo got a fantastic 77. So it was all looking good on Friday night, because Mercier got 73 and Romo got 77 for Laverne. And I was thinking, Lindell, Beguus, Senesi left to play, 3 quality players. Captain Beguus is bound to get a big score. But as we all know, and I'm sure some of you know who had Beguus, he pulled out of the game at the very last minute, and he didn't play any minutes at all, which was very disappointing. So 999th place finish there. Champion America, I utilised Gill, 65 points he got with no goal or assist. He was my captain, so that was a fairly decent 81 score there. 49 from Wagner, disappointing score from Blake with 42. Johnny Russell didn't play, so there was another did not play that screwed this lineup up a bit. And I had a fantastic score from Blanco with 100 points. This guy seems to be coming back to fitness now, and he's starting to show the qualities that he's got. And yeah, he's going to be a fantastic signing for me over the next few seasons. 490th place finish there in the America Limited. Champion Asia, I got 65 for Demau, 67 for Cecina, so the forwards did well. Jin Ho got disappointed with 40, and he was my captain. Tate was disappointing again, 44, and Guy got 41. So these two were very poor scoring wise, especially my captain, but these two pulled out the bag, but it still wasn't enough for a prize, 409th place finish. So no prize that week, unfortunately. So let's move on now to the players that I've purchased since last week's video. So here we are then, here are all the purchases since last week's video, and I've spent another £648. Now, I keep thinking to myself, where am I finding all this money? But it is actually from sales of my rare cards. I've not deposited anything else to buy these players. I have just been selling some of my rare cards, and I've obviously been winning some ETH prizes as well in the Global All-Star Division 4. So, the signings this week are Kim Ryu-sung, who was a good young player that looks fantastic and is getting plenty of minutes per Pohang Steelers. And he's actually my first rookie card as well in the limited version. So he looks a very promising young player for my under-23 team, which I'll come back to shortly. I've also purchased Haydin Harustik for my international team. He of course plays for Australia. I'd like to give a shout out to one of my YouTube viewers for this suggestion, and that is Hudson Sin. So thank you for this suggestion, Hudson Sin. I looked at his stats. He did suggest him as an international player, and his stats internationally looks absolutely fantastic. So I did snap this guy up. He's fairly young as well, and he plays in the Bundesliga. I've also purchased Edwin Mulder. He's currently injured for Heerenveen. He is expected to be back towards the end of the year by the sounds of it now, but I've bought this player for a goalkeeper in my Global All-Star division. Because at the moment I've only got an American goalkeeper from a Global All-Star team, and of course the American League will finish towards the end of this year. So I've brought in Edwin Mulder as a player for the Global All-Star division until the American Leagues come back. Another sign I've gone for is Sorare. I did initially buy him for the international teams, but then realised that the African qualifying, World Cup qualifying, is not applicable for the scoring on Sorare yet. But he is a young player, he's only 20 and he's a real world potential, so I've decided to keep him anyway. Another player I've snapped up is 20-year-old Jesus Ferreira. This guy looks absolutely brilliant. Price 119, but I think long term his card is going to be very, very valuable. He's another one that I've picked up from the under-23 team, which I'll come on to shortly. Another player I've gone for is Tinani of Vitesse. Bit of a risky player this one, because he is currently not in. He's not getting into this Vitesse team because he has had a dispute with the manager by the sounds of things. So there's a bit of a wild card character, this guy. But I thought I'd do a bit of a Alex Ferguson move when he brought Eric Cantona to Manchester United, and I'm hoping that Tinani can also have some sort of same effect for my team, because when Tinani is playing, his scoring on SO5 is absolutely brilliant. So I'm hoping that he can either find a new club or settle his differences with the current manager, and this £13 that I've paid for him is going to look very, very cheap. Another player I've bought is Mihailovic, 22-year-old, £43, and he is for my under-23 team, again, which I'll come on to shortly. Fantastic young player, one of the best scoring young midfielders in the American League, so very happy with that purchase. Another player I've gone for my international side is Pyatov of Ukraine. 37 now, but he does have a contract until the end of next season at his club Shakhtar, although he's not getting in the Shakhtar team currently. But for Ukraine, he should still be the first choice keeper for them. £25 I snapped him up for. I've also bought a young keeper here as well for only £8, 19-year-old Kim Yu-sung. This is more of a backup keeper really. Another young keeper that I've bought is Koso Tani. 20-year-old of Shonan Belmare, £126. Fantastic real world talent, this guy. Getting a lot of plaudits. Although he's not playing for the best team at the moment, I expect him to potentially move to a better team. But he is a fantastic under-23 goalkeeper. So I've bought him with next season in mind, of course. Another international goalie I've gone for is Carlos Lampi. He plays for Bolivia and he's the number 1 for Bolivia. Although for Vélez, which is his club in Argentina, he's not the first choice there, but he is the first choice for Bolivia. So this is one that I've picked up. I actually got this tip from the Sorare Odyssey podcast, and it's a podcast that I definitely recommend you guys check out. It's really, really good podcast with lots of player analysis, and the guys on the podcast also watch a match every week and tell you the findings of that match, including tactical analysis and any standout players. So a very good podcast to recommend there. That is the Sorare Odyssey podcast. So yeah, it was a fantastic acquisition, £42 for an international goalkeeper who plays for Bolivia. And I've also purchased myself another Carl's Gill. £149, but I was going to pay that all day for this guy's card because he is a fantastic quality player. I'd say he's probably one of the best SO5 scoring players on Sorare out of every single player that's on the platform. That might sound ridiculous, but it's really not. This guy is a machine when it comes to SO5 scoring. It's not just this season where he's been good, he's been consistently good the last few seasons. And he has got a contract with New England Revolution until 2024. So I've now got 2 versions of his card. His price has come down a lot now as well, due to the American League coming to an end. He is going to be a fantastic card for the playoffs and also for next season. And like I say, he has got a long contract till 2024, so I expect him to be getting me consistently good scores in my Global All-Star team and also my Champion America team. Next up is Lee Yong. So this guy I did previously have, but I sold him and then I decided to buy him back again. He is 34 now, but he has got a contract until the end of next season with Jernbuck. Only £6 looks a bargain for me, and I've bought him primarily for the international squad that I'm assembling. He of course plays for South Korea and is pretty much a regular for them on the right side of defence. So he's another good player for my international team. Another youngster that I've bought is Pablo Rus, only 22 and only £13. I thought that price was too good for a very, very good young player who has promising stats in terms of SO5 scores. So the total cost of all these players is £648, but this I think is pretty much me done in terms of purchasing, and I really need to halt on spending any more money. So let's move on now to the players that I've sold. So there was only one player that I managed to sell, and that was Wendell for £20. Wendell was a reward, one that I was looking to get rid of though, because he's not really getting enough regular minutes for Porto. I know he is currently injured, but he's never really played 90 minutes, and that's a bit worrying for me. So one that I've got rid of, and to be honest, I didn't really need him in my squads because I have got enough squad depth in terms of defenders for the Challenger Europe. So it's one that I've sold on for £20. So with all those purchases and sales, we'll have a look now how this affects my squads. I have had a bit of a reshuffle in terms of the mainly under the 21 players because I've put them into the under 23 squad now just to start getting some teams together in that division. But this is the Global All-Star team. I've put the new signing Gill in this team now. Got Cecina up front, Holhouser in midfield, Fukumori in defence, Brad Guzan in goal. I've also got these as well on the subs bench as potential alternatives. Of course, now the America League has finished and the Asia League has finished, I can of course use some of my backup players in the other squads for this team going forward until those leagues return. 542 spent. So this is my Champion Asia team. Got Guy in goal, Fukumori in defence, Murillo in midfield, Jinho in midfield and Dimao up front. I've also got plenty of quality players on the bench as well. Don't know if you guys have heard, but Atate may potentially be moving to Celtic. But I do prefer Fukumori over Atate anyway in terms of SO5 scoring. This guy had a fantastic week last week. He scored, he got 2 assists. So he is showing his form that he was showing before a recent injury that he had. So he's looking fantastic. And I'm hoping that Bitgaram can start getting minutes again. He did play loads of games at the start of the season, but then towards the end of the season he's not been playing. Although he is one of the best players for Hull City Hyundai, maybe it was just something to do with his fatigue and fitness that he has played a lot of games this season, so he's started to have a rest. But I'm confident that he'll come back next season, firing on all cylinders, and he could potentially jump in the slot that Murillo now occupies. Harakawa is another fantastic option, and so is Kaneko. So as you can see, I'm maybe a little bit overloaded in this team, and I may look to sell some of these players when the new Asia season approaches and I can sell at a favourable price. 335 spend on this team so far. Next up is my Champion America team. So Blake in goal, Wagner in defence, Elliott in defence. So I've got a Philadelphia stack there, which like I say sounds like a sandwich. Carl's Gill in midfield, so I've got 2 Gill cards, one in my Global All-Star and one in my Champion America, and I've got Johnny Russell up front, who was a reward from previous game week. I've also got the new reward here, Monterio on the bench as a backup. I've got Nani in there as well, Blanco, Morales and Patemis, who was out of favour now unfortunately, but is still a young goalkeeper and is still good to have around in the squad. So again, maybe a little bit stacked in terms of the midfielders in the Champion America team. So I may look to sell some of those when the American League kicks off again next year. £465 spent. So swiftly moving on to the Challenger Europe team. Got Romo in goal, who's been a fantastic signing. Senesi in defence. Mercier, Halhauser and Bergus make up the rest of the team. This team's looking very solid. And I've also got some decent options on the bench as well. Total cost £563. Champion Europe is now constructed. Herrera recently come back into the side after an injury, which was good. Guerrero in mid-defence. Arnold in midfield. Pau Gomez in midfield and Kramaric up front. Pau Gomez has been injured and is still trying to get his way back into the team. But if he doesn't get back into the team, I can also slot in Alberto or maybe even another defender in Alba. Aspas is also another good option as well. But in terms of the midfielder, I'd probably slot in Alberto for Pau Gomez there if I wanted to. So this team's looking very solid. Alberto has recently started getting back into the Lazio side and he is starting to show the performances that I knew he was capable of. So he looks like a fantastic long-term signing. £889 was the total cost of this team. So I've finally managed to construct an under-23 global team. So I've got Tani in goal, Klassen in defence, Mihalovic in midfield, Kaneko in midfield and Colhert up front. Now Colhert is probably not going to be eligible next season for the under-23, and of course I've not got a goalkeeper now because the Japanese league has finished. But I can still put Tani in there. It would be a did not play, but I can still play some of the other players that have still got fixtures for the rest of this season, of course. I've also got some good options on the bench as well. I've got Ferreira to go into the forward position there. I've also got Cerny, who's coming back from injury soon. Traore, of course, when he's eligible to play in any matches. Kim Ryu-sung is a good defender who's been getting regular minutes for Pohang. I've also got Hatta, who's been playing regular for Sagan Tosu, and Pablo Rus, of course, another fantastic option. And I've also got a young goalkeeper here who will hopefully start getting minutes for his team. So this under-23 team is looking very, very decent, especially when all the leagues are playing again, like the Japan and American League. So we'll see how I get on with this team when there are eligible fixtures. £384 spent on this team. So this is the international team. So this team is purely being constructed for the international breaks, because as we know, when the international breaks are on, it's really boring because you don't really have many players to actually put into your lineups. But I've made sure that's a thing of the past for me with buying some of these budget players like Herrera, Young, Heuristic, Torres, all very budget players, good for the country, probably not that great for the club, but they serve the purpose in terms of my international squad. And I've also, of course, got some of these other players that I've got in my other teams that I can use that are also internationals as well. So this team's looking very good. I've got a team in the upcoming international break that I'll be able to put together, so I'm hoping that they can give me a good performance. £113 is the total spent so far. So moving on to my total gallery then. So this is all the players that I've got in my limited gallery so far, and what you can see here under the players is the 1 month average selling price of that player. And what I've done is that I've added those all together to give me the total value 1 month value, that is the average selling price over the last month of every single player, is £4,454, which it sounds a lot, which is a lot of course, but I do think this is looking very good in terms of my profit and loss figures, which I'm going to come on to next. So here is the limited profit and loss figures. So as you can see down here on the left, I've got all the figures of all the different squads that I've just gone through. And the total cost of all them squads has been £3,291. ETH from limited card sales and ETH rewards equals £145. So that's sales, that sort of thing, of my limited cards only. And the total value of my limited card collection, the 1 month average selling price, is £4,454, which was of course the figure on the last slide. So if we go through all these figures then, so obviously the total cost, that is going to be a minus, but then I can add the ETH wins and sales and also the value of my collection in terms of the 1 month average value. So that gives me a total profit of £1,308 so far. Now last week's video profit and loss was £1,280. So that has actually gone up a little bit, even though I have purchased a few cards. So this is going very well so far, and now I think I'm going to have to probably halt on spending now, because I have spent quite a lot, as you can see there from that figure. But I am still in profit in terms of the value of the collection and the cards that I've sold and the actual cost that it's cost me so far to assemble all these teams. But of course now I've got a team in pretty much every single division, and I've also got an international team and an under-23 team now. So what I'm hoping is that the prizes will start filtering in week on week, month on month, year on year. In the meantime, I'm going to be building up the XP of all these players as well, of course, so the cards are going to get more and more powerful. So I expect this figure here now to increase. There will be a little bit of a setback in terms of the Asian and American players, of course, because those leagues are about to end, so their prices are likely to go down in terms of the 1 month average price. But I think the wins that I'm going to get in terms of player cards are probably going to counteract that, and this profit and loss figure I expect to gradually go up over the next few weeks. Okay then, before we go, I'll just quickly show you my potential team for the upcoming game week, which of course is an international break at the time of recording. So here we are then on the tournaments page. This is for game week 218, 12th of November to the 16th of November. Only one team registered here, and that is in the All-Star due to the lack of fixtures, and I have got some of my international players playing in this week's game week. So I've got Blake in goal, who plays for Jamaica. They look like they've got a fairly easy game. Alba for Spain, I'm hoping he can get in the starting lineup. They're at home to Sweden. Got Herrera, who plays for Mexico. They're away to USA. Kramaric, who is up home to Russia. And finally, I've gone for Steven Bergwijn as the captain, who are away to Montenegro. So the international break, boredom is a thing of the past for me, because I have got these players now to assemble an international team. And I think for the game week after this one as well, I have got plenty of players to play internationally to set up another team as well. So I'm actually looking forward to the international matches coming up, which is a change. So let's hope I get a decent result and I've got some prizes to report to you guys. If you wanted to do the same and buy some international players, I have done a previous video on budget international players. So do check my channel, check the recent videos, and you'll see the video on there. And you can maybe grab yourself some international budget players so that you can have some international squads ready for the boring international breaks. Okay, that was everything for this video in this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell to be the first to be alerted about any new videos. If you haven't signed up to Sorare yet, what are you waiting for? Get signed up using the link below to get a free limited card after buying any 5 cards. We also have a free website as well, SorareAssist.com, and don't forget to follow me on all the social media channels, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Reddit. You can search for me by searching Sorare Assist. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.